And the central banks are the storehouse of price. Money is nothing but perceived value. Just nothing tangible that we can associate with money, to money, except for what the central bank associates that with. Okay? Think. Your dollar notes means nothing the moment the US government comes out and says this is no longer legal tender. That note becomes worthless. Okay? Your money means nothing. Again, I want you to think about this. I want you to really consider this concept. That the only value the dollar note you're holding, the only value it has is the fact that people accept it as a form of payment. The moment people stop accepting it as a form of payment, it no longer has any value. It's no longer valid. So it's only eligible due to the government backing that piece of paper you call money or currency. That's the same thing with price on the foreign exchange market. It's worthless without the central banks. They assign value to the asset you're trading. So the central banks, because it sets the price, it is in control of price, and price is controlled. The markets are absolutely controlled. Market price is controlled by the banks, and it's a big lie if anyone says the market is still large for an entity to control price. I used to hear that when I started out trading, 2017 IML, and they will say the foreign exchange market is too large, because I think it was around like $6.1 trillion volume on a day-to-day basis, and the educators were like, oh, the foreign exchange market is too large for one entity to control. Well, it's not too large for the owner of the asset to control. Think, if you are trading euro versus US dollar, who is providing the price? Obviously, it is the Federal Reserve, and then the bank, the ECB, that's European Central Bank. They're the ones providing the price on euro dollar. That's what creates liquidity. So price is being fed to that broker or price feed you're using. So be it FXCM, Wanda, or Pepperstone, or anyone else, price is being fed to those price feeds by the different central banks. They are the ones feeding price. If they are feeding price, don't you think they're absolutely in control of price? And so this is the epiphany I want you to come out of this lesson with, that the market is an absolutely rigged system. You are playing a game that is rigged. You're playing a game. When you start out the game, you're starting out the game at a disadvantage. Because once you get into this game, everyone is out to get your money. Everyone is out to get your liquidity. Remember the analogy I did before? Once you place your trade without understanding all of this, you automatically become liquidity. Now the question is, what category of liquidity are you going to fall under? Are you going to fall under uninformed liquidity, or are you going to fall under informed liquidity? The foreign exchange market is literally the biggest business there is. Just like every business, what's the number one goal? To make money, obviously, to book a profit. Don't you think so? So don't you think it's going to be in the interest of the central bank to book profits also off of the different market participants? Of course. Now, their main goal is to provide liquidity. They are the liquidity source. That is your function as the central bank, as the storehouse of the currency. But their secondary goal or aim is to book profits. Because every business, except if it's a non-profit business, they're in the business of making money. They're in the business of booking profits. So when you start out trading and you're blowing all those different accounts, you're just unfortunate to fall into the collective liquidity pool of uninformed money. That's all there is. So when I talk about liquidity pools and price, I'm talking about the collective pool of uninformed liquidity. who think double bottom is support, or double tops are resistance, or head and shoulders are short patterns, or a trend line test, that's a chance to go long. They're all uninformed money, and they come together collectively to create liquidity pool. So whenever I talk about this is the liquidity pool we're aiming for, I'm talking about that's the liquidity pool where uninformed money will have protective stops resting. Because again, the goal of price is to go and seek liquidity to facilitate profits for the liquidity source. That's these guys. That's the informed money. So this is an initiation. This lesson is to initiate you into the real deal. What's going on behind the scenes? That should be your entire goal throughout all watching all the lessons on the course. Your entire goal is trying to transcend candlesticks. Years ago, when I was in my friend's bedroom, and I would be crying because I was feeling at this, and I sucked really bad at this, right? And I was doing this myself, and there was no one for me to call on, and there was no one for me to go up to and ask questions and to resolve this. And I knew there was something to this. I knew there was something to what I was learning, but I needed to try to figure out how I could transcend beyond what everyone else was doing. That was my goal all along, was to just try to transcend what everyone else was doing. And there was a word that stuck with me. I'll never forget the word. I think it was September 26th, 2018. I was in the dining room of our family house, and I was watching this video. By the way, you can't see me right now, but I'm closing my eyes trying to recreate that moment where everything all clicked for me. All right, it was about 5 years ago. I think 2018, so that's 5 years ago. Yeah. September 26th, right? It was an evening, and I was watching a video from ICT, and he said there is a difference between what everyone thinks they know and what is actually going on. The concepts I'm teaching you, they're a means to convey the truth behind the candlesticks, because you see, everyone else is focused on the candlesticks, and you're focused on the lines, and they're focused on the indicators. They're focused on all the paint going on their screens. But all of the paint, it's all an illusion. Alright? They give you an illusion that you're in control. The candlesticks are all an illusion. The indicators are all an illusion. If you could grasp just 1% of what was going on behind every candlestick, behind the scenes, it would absolutely change your life. And that statement, years ago, fueled a fire in me that drove me into insane work ethic to try to grasp ever since I was sitting in front of the charts. What's going on behind the scenes? Who are the puppet masters? How can I play their game? Because every time before that moment, every time I placed a trade, I was a puppet. I was being orchestrated by the puppet masters. These guys here, these are the puppet masters. These are all puppets. Now, sometimes the puppets, they can make money. They can make tons of money. That's fine. But majority of the puppets, they're struggling. Majority of the puppets, you're losing money. The puppet master orchestrates everything. It's this guy here. He's the one. So I knew if I wanted to get to a level which no one could fathom in this business, I needed to transcend the candlesticks and transcend all these different things everyone places value on. Market maker model, all the blocks, fair value gaps, all those different things. All those things all along, they're just only a means to convey the narrative behind the candlesticks. And that is where you need to get to. That is the level you need to get to. If you can get to that level, I promise you, people will doubt that you can operate at that level. You're getting information that is prime, and you get to witness that on a day-to-day basis. You've seen me trade live for years, especially for those of you guys who've been with me for over a year. I've been doing this for years. You've seen the accuracy that no one in retail matches that level of consistency or accuracy. Where we're going months without a loss, and I'm streaming live, I'm trading live. Okay, you've seen every time we're executing, it's too precise. The delivery is too precise, and we're doing this consistently, week in, week out. This introduction, that is what leads you into that. And start to see the precision inside of a 30-second execution. You will start to understand what can be achieved with this level of mindset, with this level of thought. But you need to go through the motions. You need to put in the work. And your focus needs to start to be understanding what's going on behind every single candle. That's the goal. Now this wraps up the video on market efficiency paradigm. Alright, so that was a fun little video, and this is supposed to be an introduction into institutional reference points. So this is going to be titled Introduction into Institutional Reference Points 1. So let's see how long this is. I'm trying to make each video short. So this is an introduction, and what we're going to do next is we're going to go into listing the institutional reference points, and then on the next video I will then go into discussion on what each of those reference points are. Alright, so with price, we have what we call a price range. Okay, a price range is when the market makes a swing high down to a swing low, or a swing low down to a swing high. That's a price range. Actually, sorry, let me switch over and use a better tool to annotate this. All right, so this is a price swing. Characteristic of price action is the creation of price swings. Now, inside every price swing, there's going to be what we call premium and discount. Now, what is premium and what is discount? Now, there is a separate lesson to discuss premium versus discount, but this is going to be an introduction into the topic. Alright? Now, imagine you wanted to purchase an iPhone. If you wanted to purchase an iPhone, and the iPhone was released today, but it's being retailed at $2,000 for the iPhone. Again, this is an example. Alright? So, new iPhone just dropped today. It's being retailed at $2,000 for an iPhone. But in 2 weeks' time, that $2,000 is going to rise up to $3,000 because it's being released in a limited edition. So there are only a few number of iPhone you can get. And once it comes out and people buy them, it's done. Just no more production of that iPhone, and it's done for. But a lot of people want the iPhone. So you know the iPhone's coming out today, and within 2 weeks' time, it's going to go to around like $3,000 because it's only coming out in limited numbers. Would you want to buy the iPhone now, or are you going to wait until 2 weeks' time to purchase the iPhone? Obviously, you're going to want to buy the iPhone now, right? Because it's cheaper now, and you know in the future it's going to increase in value due to its scarcity. That is the definition of discount. Okay? So let's define discount. Even though this is just an introductory video into institutional reference point, we have to define what discount is. Discount is the measurement in price. Okay, discount is the of the cheapness All right, that's the definition of discount. Discount simply is the measurement of the cheapness of an asset, meaning how cheap is this asset, right? So remember, when, let's say for example, you're like someone you follow on Instagram, for example, when you run discounts or like Black Friday sales, for example, right? So let's use Black Friday sales for example. So when there's like discount offers on Black Friday sales, that just literally means you're getting the product at a cheaper price. That's what discount means in price, right? And then premium, obviously, just invert what the definition of discount, and premium is going to be defined as the measurement of the expensiveness of an asset. Okay, expensiveness. So discount is the measurement of cheapness of an asset, and premium is the measurement of the expensiveness of an asset. Now, with institutional reference point, we have discount arrays, okay, discount PD arrays, and premium PD arrays. Now, the way the algo was designed, the algo was designed to move into premium from discount PD arrays, and also move into discount from premium PD arrays. That's the market cycle. The market cycle is simply a gyration between premium versus discount. So when we define reference points, we are defining possible institutional levels that the market should deliver from into premium from discount, and then vice versa, from premium into discount or discount into premium. All right, so let's define the PD arrays. For premium, we have, and I'm going to label them based off of their position in a price range. All right, so in descending order, we have old highs, and then we have bearish rejection blocks, and then we have bearish order blocks, and then we have bearish fair value gaps, and then we have bearish, or let's label this bearish inefficiencies, okay? Bearish inefficiencies. All right, so inefficiencies simply covers fair value gaps, volume imbalances, sell-side imbalance, bias, and efficiency. Again, if you're confused what all these terms mean, I'll go in depth on different video. I don't want this video to get too long, so I'm just outlining them, and then on the next video I'll continue from there and go in depth on each of the concepts. Alright, so we have fair value gaps, we have volume balances, we have sell-side imbalance, bias, and efficiencies, we have actual market gaps. So let's do market gaps. Alright, and what else for bearish inefficiencies? Yeah, so that's all. And also bearish liquidity voids. And I think that wraps up bearish inefficiencies. And then we have bearish mitigation block, obviously. And finally, we have bearish breakers or bearish breaker blocks. Let me also include BPRs here. Okay, BPR simply stands for balanced price ranges. Alright, so we have bearish mitigation blocks, we have bearish breaker blocks on the premium side of a range, of a price range, of a defined price range, not just any range, but a defined price range. This is what we have here. So as the market starts to move from discounting to premium, in order of positioning, meaning which is the closest to discount, It's oftentimes going to be the breaker block, bearish mitigation block, bearish inefficiencies, bearish order blocks, bearish rejection blocks, and old highs. So we're going to do it this way. Alright, so this is going to be in order of proximity to discount. Let's align this in the middle. No. Alright, so we're good. In order of proximity to discount. And then for discount PD arrays, it's just inverted. Right? So in order of proximity to premium arrays, it's gonna be bullish breakers, then bullish mitigation blocks, then also bullish inefficiencies, and bullish order blocks, then bullish rejection blocks, then old lows. All right, in order of proximity to premium. Here, that's in descending order of proximity to premium. So we're gonna label this in descending order of proximity to premium, and let's see if we can edit this in descending order of proximity to premium. So what we're going to do in the next video is we're going to go into detail on each of the concepts, all right, and how they relate to one another in a price range. So I don't want this video to be too long, and on the next lesson tomorrow I'm going to go into detail on each of these concepts, and we're going to talk about them and define what they mean in context of a market maker delivery. Now when I say market maker delivery, I'm talking about the central banks. Alright, with that being said, I wish you guys all well, and I'll see you guys all on the next lesson. Be safe.